We have boarded the Grand Princess here in Galveston and are about to sail away.
Hey, Randy. Big snarls. And it took us about 2 hours to get down here to the airport. So we didn't get to go out to eat, but regret it. Got to visit with them a little bit anyway. They're planning a trip up there. Yeah.
There's the ferries we used to take across the Point Boulevard and Seawolf Park. Bye, Galveston.
Just coming into Miami and Fort Lauderdale. The skyline of Miami. Then up the coast, the skyline of Fort Lauderdale. Row after row of high rises.
We are about to dock at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Coming into a little inlet at Fort Lauderdale. People along the breakwater rocks.
That is, which one that is?
Okay, there's the Sun Princess.
Is that a princess over there?
Yes, that's
And it's the one we rode to Alaska in September. We've sailed 2 days in the Atlantic Ocean and have just docked at the island of Bermuda. We're docked at the old British dockyards, naval dockyards.
Black.
Hill Fort here at the west end of Bermuda. Alright, we're on a ferry now on our way to Hamilton, Bermuda, and we're passing by where our ship is docked. There's the Grand Princess.
Let me get around the corner, you're going to have to look on you.
This is a roundabout or a circle.
Okay, this is Harrington Bay in Bermuda. Right by the aquarium and the zoo. Peacock at the zoo.
Come back over here.
One of the harbor seals at the zoo.
Give me a shot there, isn't he?
Sunning himself, yeah. He's posing. This is the marina area across from the zoo and aquarium. Of course, these people are driving on the wrong side of the road. Our bus driver said it is the right side of the road and the other side is suicide here. One of our stops along the island.
Final attempt to walk on water. I did.
Yeah, I decided to come back.
Okay, these white birds are called longtails.
Hey, no problem.
These are morning glory vines growing along the hill here. Okay, we're in the Crystal Caves in Bermuda, underground cave system.
Goes into the side of the hill. So while the boys climbed 70 feet down, right now we're actually standing close to 120 feet below the surface. We're also standing, for the most part, close to sea level. Now, this pool of water that you see down here, this is actually salt water. All the water that you see in this pool comes in and out through Castle Harbor near Grotto Bay. And because this water does eventually connect to the ocean, this entire pool is fully tidal. All the water that you see in here moves up and down about 3.5 feet twice a day. And
there's a strange creature in the cave.
Alright guys, now we're in the actual cave, so you both start to look around. We've all the basic cave formations. Okay,
Hear him say it's
You alright? You are? Don't look like it. I like to suffer like that.
Now there is. Okay, great. Awesome. I'm in the Atlantic.
Thank you.
Awesome. What house is in between? Oh.
Sailing to the Azores Islands that belong to Portugal. We'll be docking in Ponta Delgada. This is Ponta Delgada, largest city on the island. Population of the Azores is about 130,000. Of course, they speak Portuguese. A more modern city than what I was expecting. Behind the city, you can see the fields that are farmed and terraced up with their crops. Very lush, very green.
They protected the biggest and the most important towns with such a fortress. Right now, in this fortress is the Portuguese military. I will write, and there we will pass the square of the 5th of October, and on that square then this will take place next Sunday. So they are preparing all this, and they are decorating the whole square here. Later on, I can still tell you something about the festivity of Santo Cristo. You can see that will take place around this on your left, and there we have a statue of Jesus, which is the center of this big festivity here. This style is the typical style to have the buildings and the houses here. With those we are constructing as well the houses. The statue here of Gonzalo Velho Cabral, which you can
which is remaining from the plants, yeah. And we put this in these so-called small greenhouses, like that, not like that, like that. A little bit soil on top of that. Water it 2 or 3 times a week, and then there are coming out of this small plants. It could be 1, it could be 2 or 3, it doesn't matter.
She said it was about 12 months of the 18 months growing. Far along. Okay, these pineapples are not as far along as the ones we just saw.
Oh, these are ready to be picked, I bet, huh? Whoa.
There you go.
We are in the city of Riviera Grande,
We can find out.
in the Azores,
It probably is.
on the island of San Miguel. There is our bus. We are getting out for a little walk around the village. The church near the town center.
The red stripe.
And cobblestone streets all along. Okay, flag of the Azores with the bird, and the 9 stars represent the 9 islands.
Isn't that beautiful?
Okay, this is the river that the city is named after. Riviera Grande means big river. It's not a very big river, but to them it is. Lovely landscaping, park area. Very pretty. Look at the bridge with the arches. Lovely little town. One of the main streets in the village. Every once in a while a tractor comes through because this is a big farming area. We're out in the countryside now, on the island.
So we hope that the clouds are going up more and more and more, because right now we have again the doors open. In the volcanic areas, the heat of 100.
This is leaving the island of San Miguel in Ponta Delgada, and I hope you can see the terraced farmlands made of volcanic rock.
Okay, this is our first view of the coastline of Europe. We're off the coast of Portugal. And so you're coming into Lisbon. Lots of Portuguese fishermen. This must be a good spot for fish. This is the suspension bridge across the river, and we will be sailing under that. Links two parts of Lisbon. This is the Berlin Tower, part of an old castle. There was one part on this side of the river and one part on the other side of the river, and they had a large chain that went across to protect the city from unwelcome visitors. It was from this point that many of the explorers actually set out to explore new worlds, find trading routes. This is the monument to the discoverers, built in more modern times. This is the Hieronymus Monastery. Going under the longest suspension bridge in Europe. There's cars and a commuter train that goes there. Okay, statue of Jesus is supposed to be like the one in Rio. Cascais was an old fishing village for a long time. Now it's called part of the Portuguese Riviera. Lots of little seafood restaurants along here by the fish auction building. Pedestrian street of shops. Yes, America is here also. There's the name of the little village we're in. Our bus.
I've already taken.
We're here along the coastline. I wanted to get a picture of these. She calls these the ice plant, our tour guide. This is the Atlantic. All right. This is the westernmost point on the continent of Europe. In ancient Roman times, they believed that this was the end of the world. And this is called Cape Roca. Those cliffs are about 450 feet tall. Okay, now we're in the medieval town of Sintra in Portugal. We drove up into the mountains. Okay, this is the former King's Summer Palace. Built in the 1200s. Uh-huh.
The address, because you have to take time to fill it out.
Okay, right up there on the top of the hill is the old fort built by the Moors in the 700s.
Chega um bocadinho à frente. Vê ali o senhor ali para pagar.
Lady hanging out her linens. We've taken a shuttle to the commercial plaza in downtown Lisbon, in the old part of Lisbon. And we're going to go through those arches right over there, and there's a pedestrian-only streets full of shops. In the pedestrian shopping area in the old part of Lisbon. The street we've been walking down, Rua Augusta. Coming up to the Straits of Gibraltar here in just a few minutes, and this is the northernmost coast of the continent of Africa that we're seeing. On the other side, on the Spanish coast, that's the town of Tarifa, and up there in the clouds is the Rock of Gibraltar, but it takes some clouds to see. We're about to go through the strait, which is 8 miles from the coast of Spain to the coast of Morocco. Okay, again, views of the African coastline, country of Morocco.
believe this is the hill where the Olympic Stadium is on. Off in the distance you can see, I hope, a lot of apartment buildings and high-rises.
This is La Sagrada Familia, Gaudi's church cathedral that he built. Okay, Barcelona is one of the busiest ports in the Mediterranean and a city of about 4 million people. Okay, we're in Barcelona and this is a medieval church. We're taking a walking tour of the old quarter of Barcelona, the Gothic quarter. Popular mode of transportation here to Barcelona in the downtown area where people work is evidently a motorbike. This is Isabel, our tour guide. Okay, in the 6th century, this was the palace of the king.
These were living the kings during the Middle Ages. The square.
That was the 16th century, sorry, said the wrong century. It said that underneath this building are old Roman remains. This is a picture of what some of the things they've found.
Well, been restored 15th century. And
This is the
they
Church of
the
the Holy
Cross.
Cross.
They started restoring the bell tower, already clean. But here, as you can see,
Fancy gutter system. The mouths of these animals are open to drain the water off the roof. In through the narrow streets.
in the old Roman period, called Cavern Mountain, situated 16 meters over sea level. These were the temples called August Temple. A long weekend, sometimes they work, sometimes. This is the main facade, finished in the year
Square.
1599.
Built in 1599.
Neoclassic style.
St. George, the patron
patron
saint of Barcelona,
is the government
slain the dragon.
belonging to Catalonia. As the Grand Princess, you are not.
Children of Barcelona.
Here we are, please.
This is part of the old Roman wall. Barcelona was first founded by the Romans in about the 6th
A
century.
perimeter of 1 kilometer, 320.
That's part of one of the old Roman aqueducts bringing water from the river into the city of Barcelona, the center of the city.
Called the charity house, in which they offered food to poor people during the Middle Ages.
This is the Church of the Holy Cross. It's being restored, unfortunately.
With temporal
It
art.
was built in the 1200s.
May I have your attention, please? Special personality here was Santa. That's reason because she's buried underneath. With Santa Eulalia we have a problem, and it's that if you come to Mérida, that is in the southern part of Spain, they would say that Santa Eulalia was born in Mérida and she was buried there. So how can we say in Barcelona that the same saint was born in here and is buried here? Well, we share the same. We have two mothers. One in Mérida and one in here. The history, I mean, her life, her life, I mean, she was 13 years old, blah, 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 it's exactly the same. But we have it in two, we have her.
The detail in here is just incredible. It took 150 years to build this, and I can see why.
We move this way.
Picture of the old man.
Remember this, guys? Yes, I was just wondering where they were. They came right up here.
I know it's not easy. Not with the church, not now, can be visited by everybody.
Now it's a public Olympic
the
swimming
National
pool.
Museum of Art.
All the buildings they...
We're in a park now near the Olympic Stadium on Mount Juc. Okay, we're up on top of the mountain here in Barcelona. There's our ship. Home sweet home. harbor area. The cruise ships are here. The old customs building. Amazing detail. This is the famous Los Ramblas, pedestrian street, very famous in Barcelona. The metro subway. La Sagrada Familia. They're still building on it because Gaudi didn't finish it before he died. Okay, here's the part that they've already cleaned and restored. It's beautiful. Compare it to what they have not restored. They're doing some construction and some work on the inside, and they've already done some work on the ceiling. See if I can get a close-up of it. It's really beautiful. I'm not sure if it'll pick up in the picture or not.
170 meters.
Wow. Some of the tile work that they've done and not placed yet. Oh, okay. So the doors. Human statues, except for the last guy. Up this morning.
Okay.
This guy's supposed to be George Bush, and this guy's supposed to be Saddam Hussein, and they've got on boxing gloves to fight it out. Okay, the statue of Christopher Columbus at the beginning of Los Ramblas.
disembarking at Cannes, France, to go to Nice and to St. Paul de Vence. This is the harbor area in Cannes.
So here we are in Cannes, and our boat is waiting for us for the rich and famous. Just a few yachts here in the harbor. This is the little medieval town. This is the medieval town of St. Paul de Vence that we're going to. On the walls. Another view of St. Paul de Vence. Walled city from about the 1000s.
Is that all right for everybody? Yes? Yeah. All right. Pictures, paintings, and they have in the courtyard.
This is where a lot of famous painters used to come before they became famous.
How much is it to stay there at night?
Hey, these gentlemen are playing the game of bull with steel balls that are about the size of a billiard ball. No, actually, it's about the size of a baseball.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the bowling game, which is not called bull like most Europeans, but it has another name here. It's called petit. It means that you don't take a step when you just keep the feet between the ball.
This is our tour guide here,
in English it means something.
St. Paul de Vence.
Because that's the oldest gate. And if there were any attackers coming, people of the village, they would stand on top and they would pour boiling oil or water. They didn't have the oil.
This is the main gate, and if any intruders came during the Middle Ages, people would stand on top of the tower and pour boiling water on them. There's where the people would stand and pour the boiling water. Here we're on the main street of the village, where all the shops are.
Very picturesque side street. Or
in St. Paul de Vence. This is the wall. This is standing up on the highest point on the wall, looking out at the village that has developed around this medieval town. Here's the cemetery. And from here we can get a glimpse of the Alps. Right there. Here we are perusing the menu with Jerry and Linda from the Dallas area at the La Petite Chapelle restaurant. We're in Nice now for a tour, and this is the Promenade Anglaise, which is very famous boulevard and pedestrian walkway, second only to the Champs-Élysées in Paris. And the boulevard runs right along the beach area, and Nice begins, it's referred to as the French Riviera, the Côte d'Azur. And there are probably some naked people out here, and if I got some, I apologize. This is our bus and our tour group. Nice was named by the Greeks for the god of victory, which is Nike, for sports that are named after for victory. Our tour guide said that the Mediterranean has no tides. It's the same level all the time because it's not affected by the moon, since the Mediterranean is a closed sea. There's Dad strolling with the beautiful people on the French Riviera. Waterfall above the town.
Victoria, who became after kings of Italy. That was a on the right. It's a book market. She loves Nice. And you see that houses were...
Okay, we've ridden tram up to the high hill above Nice, looking down on the city.
And after the British went on the hills, and now everybody is everywhere. Nice has developed a lot.
Can you have a house with another colored tile?
There used to be a castle up here owned by the Savoy kings when this part of the area belonged to Italy. But the Savoys gave Nice back to France.
I don't know where it is.
The castle that used to be on top of the hill.
Carved in the rock. That place was used also before as a quarry. So we're now back below onto the seafront promenade. You see on the right, when you can't take the little tram, you have to walk all those steps. The steps that lead to the place where we were, above the waterfall. Long climb. But you have to pay for the elevator, otherwise everybody would take it. Where we went. And then after we're gonna walk slowly.
Get out. Well, now that our Jeff is 32 and Joe's 20. known for its Renaissance period in the 1200s, where art and architecture was at its height.
Now we are in the square of Santa Maria Novella, which you understand takes the name from the big Dominican Basilica of Florence, which is dedicated to the Virgin, like a lot of Florentine church architecture, but designed by an excellent but unfortunately unknown architect, and the masterpieces by Masaccio and sculpture crucifix by Filippo Brunelleschi. We have
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you see, today is the 1st of May, and it's the last day, and that's the reason for which the most part of the shops are closed. Generally, they are open on Sunday because you see how
This is the Rodeo Drive of Florence. This is a palace in the old days, and in the Roman times this was where the fortified walls were, and this was the west gate into the city of Florence. This was a palace of a merchant during Florence's heyday. Very wealthiest people were merchants. Rings for tying up the horses.
The city of Pistoia was famous for the industries, for the iron, and there is a tradition for which the name houses, I repeat, in the second part of the 1800s, everything was visible on the map of the city. You see, it's very easy to recognize the Roman Florence because it's the rectangle inside of which the streets are crossing with the right angle. This is the medieval addition. You can see also a part of the itinerary of
In this square were some of the first Medici palaces. Also, some of the ancient Roman homes were here. This is the Piazza da Signorita. This is a copy of Michelangelo's David. It's not the square of Signorita, it's Signorina. That's in 1289.
Was the house for the Medici for about 1 century. When they were at a less power, the Florence back down titles when the Medici ventured and they took and
This was sculpted by John Bologna, who was a student of Michelangelo. This is a statue of cutting off Medusa's head, and she said she was more beautiful than the goddess Athena.
An excellent jewel. That's the reason for which, for example. Well, now we go in that direction.
Wow, wow. No problem.
Enjoy the famous reservation. Sometimes it's long, all this corridor, and sometimes
Ponte Vecchio, the oldest bridge over the Arno.
This Ponte Vecchio is one of the original bridges left in Florence. The others were bombed by the Allied forces in World War II to keep the Italian army from crossing. It's got houses on the bridge, it's got shops. Today they're mostly jewelry stores, but it used to be a butcher shop, a fishmonger shop. You could practically do all your shopping as you cross the bridge. We were just sitting in a square getting a drink of water and looked up at the top of this building, and it looks like painted scenes and gold leaf up here just on the ceiling of that room or that porch. This is the Church of St. Croce. Galileo and Michelangelo are buried in this church, in a crypt in this church. Unfortunately, because it's Sunday today, we won't be able to go in and view that. The detail on the front is amazing. These are the doors of St. Croce Church. This is the tomb of Michelangelo. We did get inside the cathedral. They're having a service, but we're going to be very quiet. Ceiling, beautiful work on the ceiling also. Okay, we're walking down a little alleyway toward the Duomo.
fresco was finished in 1436. The church was consecrated by the Pope Eugene IV, and so our cathedral is a monument not only to the glory of God, but also to the economical power of Florence. The church you see outside was decorated with a nice marble inlay, which looks very similar to the front.
This is called the baptistry. It's right next to the Duomo, dedicated to the saint of Florence, Saint John Baptist. He would be surprised with that, I think.
I repeat that this is an excellent replica because the original panels are housed in a museum behind the cathedral. For the original panels were employed 25 years, 27 years, sorry. It was very long to sculpture all the panels and to decorate them with the golden leaf.
On the baptistry.
The logo of the sponsor, which is inside that palace.
On the other side of the
we are ready to go to the restaurant. We know the direction.
This is where we're having lunch. Okay, we are in Pisa now, going to the tower.
This is the Field of Miracles with baptistry in the front, the church in the middle, and then the Leaning Tower at the end of the field.
The tower was built first, it was going to be a bell tower, but because of water under the foundation it started leaning, so they stopped the construction on it, and it was being built in the 12th century. The cathedral was built first in the 11th century, 1054 I think. That was the baptistry. That's a separate building. And this is actually the cathedral. Okay, we're in Rome after a hair-raising, very expensive taxi ride. We're looking right now from the Campodaggio down to the Forum. Still looking over the Forum area, and up there's Paladin Hill. This is the Arch Septimus Severus, probably not pronounced correctly. You can see a little bit of the Colosseum over there. This is the Temple of Saturn, which dates from 497 BC. 203. The arch dates from 203 AD. Okay, this is the rostrum, also called the Speaker's Corner, and it was here that Mark Antony gave a speech to give the kingship to Julius Caesar, and where Caesar accepted that kingship, where protests were made against Rome by men like Cicero. Stood here on this platform. Okay, we're in the Senate building where the Roman Senate met. The building dates from about 283. There were wooden benches where the senators sat. However, the marble floor dates from ancient times. That's all I found out was ancient times. Don't know when that is. Okay, this is where the body of Julius Caesar was cremated after he was assassinated. One of the columns that's fallen down and broken. This was built in 138 to 161 AD. Okay, these are the columns left from Caligula's palace, one of the very bad guys of Rome. Okay, this was considered to be one of Rome's most sacred spots, where the Vestal Virgins tended the fire, and was circular at that point when it was cold, and the fire was on the inside, and Romans felt that if the fire never went out, then Rome would never fall. Here's some of the, probably the top cornice of one of the buildings that's fallen down. Trying to get an idea of the trim on it. This was where the house of the Vestal Virgins were, and then Caligula's palace continues up there. And where the arches are over here, that's where the Temple of Constantine was. He introduced Christianity to Rome. This is the Arch of Titus. More of the Temple of Constantine, which in reading the description of it was much, much bigger and higher than what's left now. We're about to leave the forum area. I'm taking one more sweep through here where all democratic countries got their start from the democracy of Rome before it went bad. Okay, we're up at the top of Palatine Hill where the ruins of the palace of emperors of Rome for several hundred years. The main courtyard is here. There, the walls where the palace was. You can see it's quite large. Okay, this was the Emperor's Stadium, where foot races and horse races were held. The Emperor had a box on what would be the 50-yard line.
The private quarters.
This palace and stadium was built in, what did you say?
81.
81 AD and was used for about 300 years. And it was built after Nero was ousted. Those trees over there are called umbrella pines. And they're really prevalent in the Mediterranean and very lovely, great shade. It's another one. This is marble on the ground left from the palace. Amazing. It's pretty tough stuff, I guess. So old. Okay, this is the royal courtyard by the palace, which used to have a fountain. And there's the overview. You can see St. Peter's Basilica from here, which we'll see tomorrow. And a lot of other domes also. Okay, where this is standing was the throne room of the emperor. People who were called to appear before the emperor came through a door at the forum and ended up here to have an audience with the emperor, for good or for bad. Some calla lilies growing. When we were in the Azores, we saw those growing wild. This is in the gardens of the emperors. We're standing up on top of the Palatine Hill. And from there you can see the Colosseum, which we'll be going to next. From up here on Palatine Hill, we can also get a very good overview of the entire forum. On our way to the Colosseum. Okay, this is the Arch of Constantine, erected to the emperor who made it legal to be a Christian. Built in, what did you say? 312 AD.
The Arch of Constantine with the Colosseum in the background to the right.
Okay, the Colosseum, or its real name is the Flavian Amphitheater, was built in 80 AD at the height of the Roman Empire. They can seat about 50,000 people here, and the basic thing they did was watch the gladiators and decide whether someone lived or died. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, now we're inside the Colosseum. Down here is the base of the Colosseum where the gladiators and the lions and whoever was going to fight would be brought up. There used to be a floor over this. The Romans pioneered the use of concrete and the archway, which enabled them to build such a tall structure. They brought travertine stones in from Tripoli by ox cart. The Emperor's box was directly across from us, where the Emperor sat and asked the crowds whether the defeated one should live or die, and where supposedly they said, "We who are about to die salute you." Okay, again we're looking down to the lower levels of the Colosseum where the animals and the gladiators were. A view from higher up.
It's a bird. The bird.
From the Plaza Venetia, and this is the monument to Vittorio Emanuele II. So we've walked to the Pantheon. We're coming at it from the back side. Okay, here's the front of the Pantheon. The Pantheon was dedicated to a temple to all gods and built by Agrippa in 27 BC. We're inside the Pantheon. This was the first dome constructed, and it's the dome that St. Peter's Basilica was patterned after, the cathedral in Florence was patterned after, and the dome in the United States Capitol was patterned after. 27 BC. The walls at the base of the temple are, the concrete is 23 feet thick and then gets thinner and thinner as it goes up till it's about 5 feet thick at the very top. That's the only light source right there. One of the first kings of Rome buried here. Let's bring it over there. The blue guard his tomb. The artist Raphael is buried in his tomb is in the Pantheon also.
6th century BC, Egyptian novelist, Augustus took it after his victory over Mark Antony and Cleopatra.
Local changing of the guard. This is a monument to Marcus Aurelius, 2nd century. This is the Trevi Fountain. Just thought I'd give you a shot of the crowd here at Trevi Fountain from every country in the world. I think I'll start chanting USA, USA. Well, maybe I won't.
She thinks she's going to get to come back. This is a view of part of the crowd at this place.
Okay, we're at Vatican City. This is St. Peter's Basilica and St. Peter's Square. And right up there is where the Pope lives. Okay, we're in the Vatican Museum. This is a copy of Michelangelo's Peter, La Petra. This is the ceiling of one of the rooms in the museum. And it's also a room full of beautiful tapestries. Tapestry portrays the Last Supper. It is huge. Okay, this is a painting done by the painter Raphael of the Transfiguration. This is looking at one of the windows at the museum toward the Basilica and out into the Papal Gardens. Painting by Caravaggio of the burial of Jesus. This is the entryway to the part of the museum that has the Sistine Chapel. This is the rotunda in the Vatican Museum. They have all these elaborate baptistries and then they don't even believe in using them. Even the floor is beautiful. It's little tiny mosaic tiles of scenes. We're in the Egyptian room, and they have examples of the sarcophagus that the mummies were put in. Okay, this is the statue of the mother of Ramses II, the pharaoh who dealt with Moses. This is his mother's statue. It was brought to Rome by Caligula. Okay, these are some cuneiform tablets that date back to 2,000 years before Christ. These are reliefs from the time of Sennacherib from Nineveh. Okay, this is the Hall of Maps. And we haven't even gotten to the Sistine yet, but look how beautiful the ceiling is. All the way through this long, what they call the Long March, has been beautiful. And so this is the Hall of Maps. And he commissioned this guy to paint the ceiling in the rooms of his house. That's the ceiling. I don't think I'd want to live with all this. It's a little gaudy. Okay, this is Raphael's painting of Plato and Aristotle. Okay, we've come out the side of the Sistine Chapel, up close to St. Peter's Basilica. Okay, this is the so-called Holy Door, and you can see these people here. It's only opened every 25 years on Christmas Eve. It depicts the fall in the garden through to the time of Christ. Okay, we're inside St. Peter, St. Peter's Basilica. It's about 2 football fields length to the window under the cupola that you see there, the wooden cupola. It's that long. This statue right here is 15 feet high. The letters that are at the top, written all along the top, there's something, and those letters are 7 feet tall. It doesn't look like it, but it is. Okay, this is Michelangelo's sculpture of Pieta, meaning pity. It shows Mary holding the lifeless form of Jesus. It was done in the year 1500.
Oh no, we're in like this.
This is Pope John the 23rd,
That looks from Pope.
who I believe was the Pope before John Paul II. This is the main altar where the Pope celebrates Mass. This is okay, we're down in the crypt, down in the bottom of the St. Peter's where the popes are buried. What I took just a second ago was where Pope John Paul was buried, but they rushed us on, so I didn't have time to take much.
Barberini a dominé la vie politique et culturelle de la Rome d'antan. Die Barberini-Familie hat eben das politische Leben des Rom des Mittelalters. Und s'appelle la place Barberini, parce que nous sommes pas loin du palais Barberini. Schauen Sie auf meine Herrschaften. Well.
Okay, one of our stops is the Trevi Fountain at night. We had been here during the day, but this is lovely at night. It's built in the back of a palace. You can see the windows there that were a palace. It's a museum now. And then they built the Trevi Fountain on the back wall. This is water brought from one of the last aqueducts in Rome.
From this terrace, from this historical terrace, Mussolini talked to the crowds. Fai un giretto però, se no non gliela faccio. Poi ritorni, poi facciamo il Capitolio e poi... No, il Capitolio lo facciamo al ritorno, Okay, im Jahre das Jahr 1476 errichtet. Die Säule auf der linken Seite, die Trajan's column on the left side. We merging in Roman Forum. Links, Foro Romano, signore, grazie. Wir haben also das Foro Romano hier, das Forum der Senat. And the background, yes, 57 meters high. Das Colosseum ist even well, we're turning, we're passing, we're sailing around. We see the triumphal arch of Constantine ahead on the right side. Triumphbogen des Kontinent. You see, so angelegt, nicht schlecht. Und das Jahr 1563 oder 64.
Bars, elegant restaurants, cozy nooks for people in love also. Okay?
Okay, this is one of the three fountains in the Piazza Navona. This one is famous because it's called the Fountain of the Four Rivers, what they consider to be the four most famous rivers in the world. This is the square, the Navona Square. It used to be a stadium built by Pope Domitian, and now it's the place to come at night. As you see, it's very crowded for a stroll. And to sell things, evidently. Everywhere you go in Rome, there's somebody trying to peddle something. Another one of the fountains in the Navona Square.
Reason of Rome until 1871, when Rome officially became capital of Italy. On top there is an angel, the castle of the angel. The angel was made by a Dutch artist, 1752, Van Verschaffelt. The name of this gentleman, of this artist. Also die Engelsburg im Jahre 135 und dann später also eine Festung und dann Gefängnis. 324 errichtet, nicht? Zur Zeit des Konstantin. Aber dann im Jahre 1503 abgerissen und man hat angefangen, die neue Basilika im Jahre 1506 zu errichten. Die Basilika ist doch die längste, nicht? Meter natürlich, sowieso. Da ist sie eine Idee bekommen, die Basilika nur 108 Meter hoch, nicht? Man hat also angefangen, wie schon gesagt, diese Basilika im Jahre 1506 zu errichten und mehrere wichtige Architekten und Künstler haben an dieser Basilika mitgearbeitet.